video, we'll be working on the 2007 S60R. We'll be changing out the boot on the driver's side, CV axle, the outer boot. Caught this before. Hopefully any damage is in the inside. We'll check it out when we get in there. Stay tuned. To remove the axle, all we have to do is remove this lower ball joint nut here, and that's just the lower one. Don't remove these two because this part's pressed into the spindle. Once you get that nut off, you're going to want to find a nice long pry bar and find a good spot that's not going to mess up either the ball joint or the axle, and just pry down on it until you get that ball joint to unseat down there. Start by removing the 13mm bolt holding it in. You're going to need to grab an extension or something to punch the axle out. Slightly tap it. It'll pop out. After you've pushed that out through the hub, we're going to set that off to the side. Grab a flat bar or some kind of pry bar. And we're going to have to pry between the transmission and the axle just to pop the clip that's holding it in place. There we go. And there's the original axle there. All right, so we're gonna replace the boot on this axle here. This is OEM Volvo. This came off of the vehicle. This one here, TRQ, Chinese brand, $50 or $60 on Amazon. So, what would you rather have on your vehicle, OEM or China? We'll just put that off to the side and replace the boot on this bad boy. I got this boot kit here. I believe it was FCP, maybe IPD. Should fit. Comes with all the grease and a new axle bolt. So we'll get started on this. Start with removing these clamps in the axle. Not too hard, just pry it off with a flathead screwdriver. So it took a bit of force to get this off. I had it on here and I just had to tap it at every angle until it slowly started moving outwards. Right there's that C-clip that you just need to break free of. So we got our retaining clip replaced and got the end of the CV all cleaned up. I'm gonna fill this with grease. I have two tubes, so I'm gonna fill one in here and one in here. Pop that back on. Don't forget to put the clamp around there, or else you won't be able to put it on when you get everything else on. You'll have to do this all over again. All right, so I got the CV end on the axle. It was a little hard. I actually bent the new clip trying to put it on. Ended up putting the old one on and it went in a lot easier. So I'm having issues trying to get this thing to slide onto the end. Let's see if just slightly heating it up helps. All right, that seemed to do the trick. I didn't film the struggle, but just took a couple minutes. Not too bad. So the pliers that I have, this is actually for pecs. It's a crimping tool. Should work. We'll see. right, got the boot all together. Ended up having to get this universal zip tie type thing. Got the CV boot on the driver's side axle. Had to use a universal metal zip tie thing because the one included with the kit was far too small. There it is right there. I'm glad I went this route instead of using this cheap $60 one from Amazon, this TRQ, because the quality of this is just not good. The Volvo one is far superior. All right, so when we're insetting this axle, try to guide it the best you can into its spot. That is a seal there. You'll feel it click into place when you get it in there. Caution, don't over tighten your ball joint nut because, yeah, now I have to replace the ball joint. Stay tuned for the next video. So I just attached a ratchet strap around the base right here. Pulling it here slightly. All right, now that it's away, we can move those two 13 mils there. And dang, that was a good ball joint too. All right, we have the control arm held back. I'm gonna be using a punch, chisel, get it in between there. Metal on metal contact with a hammer, wear glasses. It's separating. All right, we got it off. So what I did to get that ball joint seated, I used this small couple-inch extension and a hammer. Just went from side to side, tightened the nuts up as I went, and it took a few tries, but slowly got seated perfectly without any press or anything.